So, thank you so much for coming down. You've just finished a piece of work here, haven't you?
I have. We spent 3 weeks
Fantastic.
which is marvellous.
Yes, that's brilliant. So, and we're going to see this piece at the end, aren't we? So we'll
Yes,
keep,
yeah.
keep a bit quiet about that for now. But the first question I wanted to ask you, because Shiny is all about getting new, diverse voices into the world of commercial production, and you are a diverse voice. There's not a lot of people who are as far out as you, I think, in terms of the commercial work that they make. Can you tell us a bit how things have changed since you first started in 2007?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, 18 years in the industry. Which is fun. Yeah, I didn't enter into the industry being like, let's do all cabaret acts and all this stuff. It was a very different industry back then. I feel the production company that I was with, I can't think of anyone that was not white in the building, and it was predominantly producers are male and female, all directors are male with one female director, and this is like a roster of 30 directors or something. So it's like, it was very different times. And then I came from an art background. I studied art at school. I studied illustration, very conceptual illustration course at Brighton University. And so when I started making film work and music videos, it was always from a conceptual, artistic standpoint. So marketing was more like, how can I take this marketing campaign for this band and like twist it to say what I want to say as an artist, more than kind of going, okay, you need this and I'll do that for you. So that's always been helpful to know that the best projects have come because actually I've always wanted to put my voice in there. And it's led to, not always winning treatments a lot of the time, but when they do land, you've got two artists that are talking to each other, not someone that's going, oh yeah, I'll do whatever you want, and you're not able to contribute your voice.
So I think the first time that I saw your work was with the Zoetrope Mirrors thing.
Yeah.
And it was technically, there's loads of things to check out on David's website. It was technically very unusual, and it was clearly, as you say, a very artistic approach to making a music video, as well as being a brilliant way to show off the band. So I think that's always been a feature of your work, because it makes you want to check out the next thing you're going to do and the next thing you're going to do. So what was the first video that you made? We'll come back to the thing about you being an artist and you being able to land the work that you want to do. But what was the first video that you made that took your career off?
So that was a video for a band called Metronomy, called The Bay. And we made that in 2011 or 2012. It was the first thing I shot on 35mm. I managed to win a 35mm package from that job that you were describing, that won an award, and with it came the ability to shoot on film. And it was very sexy. And
yes.
that was...
We will be showing it.
that was something that pricked people's ears up. It was hugely successful in France. People were like, swimwear, great! And I realised it was a niche in the fact that I'm not attracted to women. So I'm like, great, legs wider, no, it's fun, it's stupid. Yeah. And then I realised that was that's an actual asset that I can bring. We can be fun and playful and sexy and bring this sexual energy in a way that isn't it's just play. It isn't aggressive, right? It's just very playful, and people responded well to it. And that was just me goofing around.
Yes. And Metronomy, at the time, they were pretty much riding high, one of the biggest bands going at the time, weren't they?
Yeah, in the indie circles. Yeah.
So what was it? Do you know what made them go, okay, we want to work with you? Had you worked with them already at that point?
Not officially, but they went to university with me. So Joe, who's the front man, is 2 years above me.
Yeah.
So we knew of each other. They had lent me one of their pieces of music for me to do my exam piece. That got seen by their manager and actually got me my first official music video commission.
Yeah.
So we were aware of each other.
That's
and,
brilliant.
Yeah, that helped.
So to translate that into something that might be useful for directors in the audience, in a way, it's kind of fan-made stuff that got you their attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So we're going from metronomy now. I think so. The next big thing that happened to you was the Grammy Award.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell us about that.
There's a Grammy nomination, but some bios seem to twist the truth. But it was a nomination. So that is very interesting because that I feel was the first big leap into doing queer work.
Right.
So the band was Arcade Fire, and that was a huge deal for me. That year they'd headlined Coachella for the second time. I think they're one of the only handful of acts that headlined that festival twice. That's how big they were at that time. And they had made a song called This, and their brief was, can we have drag queens kidnapping rednecks and forcing them to dance on live TV?
Oh, so that was they'd written that.
They'd written this as the brief.
Wow.
And then I listened to the song, and the song was about the queer community in Jamaica and how it's so difficult to be queer in that country. It's like you're rejected from your homes and you have to live underground, and it's all very difficult. In essence, it's like an unseen community.
Right.
And so they made this song, it's a whole Reflector album, a lot of it was written in Jamaica, and they made this song called We Exist to be the voice of those kids that they've met. And that was really powerful and very poignant. And so to have this like, oh, drag queens kidnapping rednecks, and it's all a bit of a goofy laugh. Like, no, this song is way more powerful than that. So I rewrote the script. It still incorporated like gender diversity in terms of we had the main protagonist exploring their gender identity. But this is the metronomy that is what I'm talking about. But we evolved it. So Andrew Garfield, the Spider-Man at the time, played the role of this person, this man exploring their gender identity as a woman. They go to the bar, they run into difficulties in the bar. Let's say they get assaulted in the bar, not unconscious, and then okay, and then they're taken to a different world, a world full of acceptance. They essentially meet their fairy godmothers that are played by the rednecks in high heels, and they're taken to the band in Coachella and celebrated on the stage. So that just through the brief and through the song, it kind of forced my hand into going, okay, I need to step into this little knowledge that I have as a gay man in this world, and the journey that I've gone through, and how community has helped me, and sonify it visually in this piece of work.
I think that's another lovely thing about that speaks to diversity as well, is that it's clearly made by someone who knows what's going on, I suppose, and there's lots of emotional overused word, but emotional authenticity in it. You know that the person making this knows what the story is familiar with the issues involved.
I was very fortunate to have Our Lady J, who then went on to write Transparent, which is one of the main writers on Transparent and Toads, and she came on as an advisor for the essentially trans storyline that we're telling, and that was integral as well, because I couldn't tell an authentic story that don't have that experience, but in collaboration with Our Lady J, that's how that video really got.
Brilliant. So let's go on to talk about your first work for a brand and how that happened, because it's kind of easier to imagine that in music videos you're going to find communities and subcultures that love your work and really vibe with you. Brands are so much less like that?
Yeah, I feel like, well, technically the first commercial I did, which is even more difficult to talk about now, was a big commercial for British Petroleum.
Right.
Right. Literally, like, it's a 3-week shoot because it's a stock frame thing. I managed to get this big gig because done that Murray McLaren video with the animation, and they needed a experienced animation director, but they needed this reasonably low budget for animation project and a 3-week shoot. And so essentially Blink Inc. were like, have this kid, he'll do it for a much lesser rate. And I'm like, great! I did that, and halfway through production, that's when the oil spill happened. Because going into it, I was like, the oil, but they are doing good things. And then I'm like, no, we can skim over that. And the next commercial piece of work that I did was for Nokia. And this is the last piece of work that Mother did for Nokia. And so Mother were a bit like, oh, well, whatever. Like, we know we're not keeping the client. So that is like the essence of, I feel, doing good work. People are like, they can't stop bothering. And the script was, it's to sell a pink phone. We want Barbie dolls making their own music video. And so we got given the most recent Sugar Babes track, and we made this like 45-second music video that was impersonating loads of other music videos. I presented, at the time I was doing lots of treatments, the video treatments, and I presented the treatment, and during it was taking off my clothes until I went down into a bikini. And it's like the whole thing was ridiculous. And that was, I feel like that's one of my most queerest pieces of work that I first put out was actually a commercial. Because they were just like, go Pink, go Barbie. And I was like, I can do it, I can do it.
Brilliant. And so, I think before we get to the end bit, tell us about Can Gold.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that was a piece of work for Nike. Talking of which, the best pieces of work I feel come from when people aren't paying attention. There were 3 female empowerment projects going on at that time. One in Turkey, one in the United Arab Emirates, and one in Russia. They were all emerging markets at the time. And so the most attention was on the UAE, and that was with Fleur Fortune. Then the next was Turkey, and that was with these directors with us. And then Russia, they were like, oh, actually we kind of have Russia as a market, like we have the least amount of budget, meaning that all the other films are montage films, but this one, we all set it in one location, which is in a theatre, and it meant that we could really play with the limitations. Essentially you had this girl singing the Russian equivalent of the song Sugar and Spice and All Things Nice is what girls are made of. But this was, you know, a bravery and power and strength that what little girls are made of, and she's singing it on stage and essentially kind of hallucinates what she's seeing in the audience. She's seeing her athletic heroes, the female athletes in the audience, being badass and brilliant, seeing her skateboarders flying over audience members' heads and ballerinaing on the pirouetting on the dress circle. And that was brilliant. It's like we made this kind of musical piece, and that's a big thread in my work, is the flow of music. Like we had a song, I worked with the song, it was this solid, like 1 minute standing film. And that's what I really enjoy as well, is like building a scene and playing out that scene.
Right, storytelling, colour, shot composition and framings, they're all big things in your work.
But also being stupid.
And being
like one of the female athletes, she was dressed in a ball gown, and then she rips it off, and she whacks the person next to her with the ball gown by accident. Like all those things, I want to subvert it, and then I feel if I'm making a piece of work that knows what it is, like it's commercial, don't take it too seriously, then I can relax into it and enjoy it. And I feel like knowing, like my lived
Yeah.
We're a little outside of like the game on the rest of the world, and it doesn't happen.
Fantastic. And well, I was just going to say to that, advice to any queer directors in the audience about who want their queerness to show up in their work.
I feel like the main thing I was thinking when I was cycling over was you will find others in the industry that will champion you. So that's what I found. It's like you're rising up as a director or whatever, producer, wherever you are in the industry.
Yeah.
And then there's other people just like you that are at advertising agencies, or
Yes.
at record labels. And then you find each other and then go, oh my God, yeah, like we can do this thing together. And some people term it as the gay mafia,
Yeah.
but it's a little thing where it's very interesting. Joining in 2007, I was like, oh, this is a boys' club.
Yeah.
This is like a lot of people that like went to Eton, that like went to
Really?
this chummy group, and I'm like not in that boys' club.
Yeah.
And then to find that there's a subsidiary,
Yeah.
and you're in this like gay mafia, I'm
Yeah.
like, cool, I have this little club that I didn't know I was a part of, and I'd like to think that actually wherever you fit, you'll find the other people that go, wait, we're in this club.
There's lots of little clubs.
There's lots of little clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hopefully more
that's
and more
what's
and
amazing.
more.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, last thing,
Yeah.
can you, so by the way, it's an Arcade Fire project, this thing that we're going to see now, the amazing new thing. And Columbia Records marketing manager is Tara, who's speaking next.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Perfect segue.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So would you like to tell us a bit about this project?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been working with Arcade Fire for 12 years now. The first project that I did was We Exist, and then since then I've been involved in every album campaign in some way. The next album campaign I did a double video called Money and Love. It's like a 16-minute long epic. It's too long. There's songs. And then the year and I also did a live show, and then for We, which is the last album I did a live show. And this project, they've gone a lot more DIY. The music's a lot more DIY, their approach is a lot more DIY. They've been very psychedelic, and so they rang me and said, we want to go on a road trip from New Orleans, where they live, to Austin, and we want to take you with us, and you film it on the iPhone, and we don't know what that's going to be, we just need content. So it may be that we make loads of different bits of content, of little snippets of little songs, and then that's how we release it. Or it's live visuals, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that. It was all very scattered. And it was only when we were on the ground that things started to cement. So that was extremely tricky. There's a lot of content that we'll show you in this film that was made for other songs.
Right,
And that in essence, we're there going, we're here for 10 days, me and I brought my friend Mark along, who's a director in his own right, because I just knew we needed kind of two heads on this. This is my first time collaborating with another director. So it's a co-direction with Mark Prendergast. And we got in the van with the band, and by that point we really knew we needed to make a hero film for this song, Europe Snow. So this was shot over 10 days on this road trip. We amassed 55 and a half hours worth of rushes.
Oh.
Because everywhere we went, the band was like, film this, film that, film this. They're just like, they are.
And these are on 2 phones.
These are on, we took 8 cameras.
Oh my God.
So we had 3 iPhones constantly with us on in the back seat of the car. We had 3 360 cameras, and then we had a Blackmagic camera and this GoPro. And that was our like 8. So in essence, whatever was happening, we're bouncing around in the back of this car that you'll see blue Aerostar, mid-90s Ford Aerostar. They put an actress into the back, which really helped us, because in essence, we've got 3 things in the ground. We're bouncing around, shoot out the window, do all this. We went to Carnival, we go to a rodeo, we meet Willie Nelson.
Amazing.
And it worked. Like we took all this stuff that, and then working with Pavel, who's one of the amazing editors at Athens,
Of course, yes, we got to say, all made here.
all made here,
Yeah.
including the grade with John,
Right.
which is amazing to be able to edit and grade. And because I was doing this and another Arcade Fire video at the same time called Cars and Telephones, which we shot Cars and Telephones in 4 hours, and this one obviously 10 days. But yes, this is our journey of kind of never-ending content. There is 20 hours, I think, of selects. So you're seeing like 5.5 minute compilation, and then what's is a generative video, which should be out in the next few weeks. I think that's NDA, so
Okay, don't talk about it.
but in essence, you're going to be able to go on the website, and whenever you watch the video, it's going to have the exact same edit points as this video, but the content will be completely, not completely
that's
randomized.
exciting, yeah.
It's kind of like one thing leads on to the next.
Yeah.
Um,
And you've
so it'll
plotted
be
all of that
structured.
out. Well,
Well,
no, we
it's-
can't go into that because
it's-
we've got time.
Yeah, it's being structured, but
Yeah.
in essence, there will be a way to see all the footage that we made if you have permission and desire to do so.
Brilliant.
That's it.
Thank you. So